And then I definitely plan on leaving a lot of time for Q&A. So thanks for bearing with me as I figured all of this out. By the way, that's a picture of us in the Atlas Mountains right outside of Marrakesh. So my name is Madiha. As I said earlier, I'm the country director here in Rabat. And I've been living in Morocco actually for 12 years. I originally came after graduate school with the intention of living here for 1 year. And here I am, 11 years later. So that's definitely a testament of how much I've really enjoyed learning about the culture and exploring it and really cultivating kind of a wonderful community here in Morocco. I'm raising my 3 kids here, so all of them are born in Morocco, and I basically go back to the States to see family. And let's see, Morocco is, well, I wish I had another map, but you can see where Rabat is located. It's on the Atlantic coast. But what's really unique about Morocco is that, as you can see, let me see if I have a pointer. Nope, I don't. If you can see the map, there's Tangiers on the northern coast. So, actually during the excursions, we do take students to Tangiers. But Morocco lies along the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean. So we have 2 bodies of water. We have 2 mountain ranges, the Reef Mountains in the north, which we also take students to, and then the Atlas Mountains, which we also explore in our excursions. And then we also have the desert. The reason I'm mentioning all of these different geographical regions of Morocco is because this geographical diversity really also contributes to the cultural diversity here. Morocco is really one of the most diverse places on the African continent and in the MENA region, the Middle East region. And we explore this in all of our programs, in our cultural activities, our experiential learning activities, our classrooms. They really are ways to kind of learn more about the culture in Morocco. So very proud of that. So what you guys can expect on a typical day is in the mornings, we have, you have breakfast with your homestay family. In terms of breakfast, all of our families do go through workshops and trainings. You guys are here to kind of learn about Moroccan culture, but at the same time, we do have workshops and trainings for homestay families to provide them with insight into American culture. So even in terms of the food, any food restrictions or preferences, our families are all very flexible. They're very loving and kind of involved families. So this is something we talk to students about during the pre-departure process and during orientation. And I would say it's actually one of the highlights of the students' experience here, the connection that they make with their host families, because they're really kind of another layer of support for our students. So after breakfast with your homestay, there's the commute to CIE. The families actually bring you to the CIE Study Center for the first few days until the student feels independent enough to do so on their own. The study center is anywhere from like a 10-minute commute to 15 minutes. And after that, then you have your language class for the case of our language programs. So we have the Arabic language and culture class every day for 3 hours. However, those 3 hours are broken up to pieces because the first portion focuses on classical Arabic, which we feel is really important for our students to have a foundation in. That way, if they decide to continue on with their studies in the university in the future. And then, of course, we have the colloquial Arabic and the Into the Community activity. So Into the Community activity is something that CIE does where we take what you learned in the classroom in the morning and you actually apply the communicative approach and use it on the streets with Moroccans. So you have a lot of support along the way. We do a lot of practice before we send you out, and we send you out with program leaders who are experienced language instructors coming with you from the States. In some cases, you also have Moroccan high schoolers with you, language and culture peers, doing the community activity with you. So then usually you have free time for lunch, or sometimes we'll have a group lunch at the office, at the study center, followed by the cultural activity. So whatever that cultural activity is, if you're in the language program, then we reinforce the language, the vocabulary, the learning objectives of what we did in the morning. So it's really kind of a cycle. So whatever you learn in the morning, you practice into the community, and then again, it's reinforced in our cultural activity. So even if we're doing like a West African dance workshop or surfing or pottery, working with artisans, we're still finding ways in which we're reinforcing the vocabulary and the themes of that morning. And then there is free time. However, the free time is most of the time the students actually end up staying with us at the study center. But if they did want to have that free time, then we give them like recommendations of what they could do and so on. But like I said, most of the time we always have a really lively, we bring the community to us. So most of the time the students actually, from experience, they end up kind of staying in the study center and then commuting back to their homestays together and having dinner with their homestay family. A lot of times, especially the family has something in mind, they'll have like, they'll want to teach you how to make Moroccan tea, or they'll want you to learn how to make a tagine, you know, a traditional Moroccan dish. So even the evenings are kind of eventful, but the families do understand when you need some downtime, some relaxation time, some individual time. So in addition to that, we also have overnight excursions. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to pay attention to the screen as well in case anybody sent me any chats. Okay, so on the weekends we have day trips, and we have one of the weekends is an overnight excursion. So the first weekend, to be honest, is the weekend where we have like homestay integration projects. So if it's the first time your homestay family is going to take you on a neighborhood walk, so they're introducing you to members of their neighborhood. And in the case of Morocco, what that looks like is you'll meet the neighbors, you'll meet the store, the shopkeeper owner, you'll meet the like local artisans on the streets, everyone who your homestay family considers a part of that neighborhood. So this is also wonderful because you get to be a member of that community. They look out for you and so on. It's not just your homestay family that's a part of your network. It's everybody within that homestay family's network also becomes kind of your extended family, let's say. And on that weekend, they also take you along the river, the Rabat River, and cross you over to the neighboring sister town. So you can kind of see the skyline of Rabat and do an activity together as a family. The weekend number 2 is an excursion. Weekend number 3 is an excursion. Weekend number 4 is going back to the States. So sorry if I'm giving too much details here. But now, let's see. All right, so this is our study center. And to be honest, this was our study center before the summer. Our high school students came this summer. We recently moved here right at the start of COVID. And right now, it's the same center, except it has beautiful murals thanks to our students. So some of our high school students are really passionate about art. So they actually design murals and some Arabic calligraphy as well. So I'm sorry, I don't have a photo of that now. But it is really, we're very fortunate to have this place because it's in the heart of the city. But at the same time, you feel like a piece of like serenity when you're inside. We have a garden. It's 3 stories. We have a kitchen that opens up to the outside. So students really do have a lot of space to kind of expand and sit in their own little corner. And also it's a great spot. Like I said, we bring the community to us. Okay, so in terms of transportation, like I said, we're centrally located. The photos that I have here are of Rabat, actually. And the top photo is where many of our homestay families are in the old Medina. Well, I say the old Medina, but at the same time, the families have modern facilities, high-speed Wi-Fi, and so on. The bottom picture shows our tramway. The tramway is one of the ways in which students are able to come to the study center. We give them tram tickets and they can come and go that way. Another safe method is using actually the taxis. Another safe method is using the Moroccan version of Uber called Kareem. So all of those are options for our students. But like I said, the Homestay family is actually willing to bring the student back and forth for the entire month. But we tell the families, you know, we really do want the students to learn independence and so on. So, but they're there for you until you feel fully comfortable coming back and forth. And so, yeah, the transportation system is very efficient, clean, and safe. And now with COVID, you know, they're very safe with that. Everybody has mandated masks and they have the cleansers before you enter the tram, when you exit, and so on. All right. The top reasons to come to Morocco. I honestly had a very, very difficult time with this slide. As I mentioned, I had planned to stay here for 1 year and now it's 12 years later, 3 kids later. So this was very difficult, but I'd say what the students would probably say is for the language and culture program, it's a wonderful opportunity to learn Arabic in context. Sure, you know, there's Arabic courses in the States when the students, when you guys go to university, but there's nothing like studying it actually in the context where you're able to explore the culture, because as you know, you can't separate language from culture. So in addition to the language instructors, your homestay families that are reinforcing the language pledge, you also have high schoolers that are, you know, students that are your age who are language and culture peers. They're volunteers. They're a part of our CIE program because they want to get to learn more about American culture, but they also really act as like cultural mentors for you guys. And it's another insight into the culture. So they're practicing their Arabic with you as well. I would say also visiting the Atlas and the Reef Mountain Range, where even for students, you know, it's not necessarily that they even need to enjoy hiking. You know, we go to these places so you can meet locals. I'm very proud of the fact that our trips are not like, you know, touristic trips. You're able to see the beauty of Morocco, but we're also, for example, going to these small villages where you're engaging in conversations and practicing your Arabic, and you're actually meeting locals. So you're not just here to ride camels and, you know, take selfies, which don't worry, there are opportunities for that. But even while we're riding camels, we're learning about the impact that has on tourism and not perpetuating stereotypes and so on. But you do ride camels on this program, actually. So the other thing, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is really exploring the cultural diversity. So I mentioned the geographical one, but I also wanted to say that Morocco has, you know, the French culture. We have Spanish culture. In fact, in the north, Spanish is still the second language. In Rabat, French is the second language. But you see these different cultures in our food, in the music. You also have West African culture with our proximity to like Senegal and Ghana and so on. And of course, you have the obvious like Arab culture, and as well as what we call Amazigh. The Amazigh or Berbers were the first, like, I guess you would say the Native Americans, you know, of Morocco. So you really have these really important like cultural diversity, and you guys get to explore that with the music, the food, the people that you're going to meet. And it's, you know, so Moroccans are definitely really well informed about the rest of the world and so on. And they're very proud to kind of show you guys their heritage. Okay, as I mentioned, you're visiting one of the most culturally diverse places in Africa, so it's a very unique opportunity because Morocco is not just an Arab country. It's also these, as I mentioned, it's an Amazigh country. And of course, you engage with Moroccan university students as well as Moroccan high school students in all of these different cultural activities. So you're not just on your own with other high schoolers from the States. We bring the community with us kind of wherever we go. So the final thing I would say is community. Coming to Morocco, you really feel a part of the community. This is kind of seen in all of the evaluations that students write about our programs. The main theme is, okay, oh, you know, I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about being a part of a community. And I think that's highlighted in every part of the experience. Sorry, just a few more highlights about Rabat. It's a really beautiful balance of like modernity and tradition. You know, you'll be in the old Medina, the old part of the city, but you'll see like a Mac store, or you'll see like the latest technology or the latest movies out. So it's really this beautiful mix. And you'll see that also in the way your homestay family lives. They'll be following the latest American shows. Not that America means modernity, but they also don't lose sight of who they are and their traditions and so on. So I would say Rabat is really, it has a lot of expats too. So, you know, this is where the embassy is, the embassies are. So you have a really great international community here. You know, when they see American students on the street, it's just, it's become kind of normalized for us in Morocco. It's really well organized transportation system. As I mentioned, we are on the beach. So many of you live on the beach, or a 5-minute walk or 10-minute walk to the beach. So you learn about the beach culture here as well. And it's an international community, which also means that there's mosques, there's churches, there's synagogues, there's Buddhist temples. So it's also like religiously diverse. There's live music everywhere you go. Moroccans love music. They'll make an instrument out of anything. So it's really beautiful to see that. There's free outdoor parks. And actually the biggest, largest park of Rabat is a 5-minute walk from our study center. So oftentimes students will go have a picnic there, or play soccer, frisbee, ping pong. It's a really great place to be. Okay, and we're almost to the questions. I'm really sorry. So what's in a summer abroad program? Basically, a typical week, as I mentioned, you get 15 hours of that interactive communicative approach language course, which translates to about 3 hours a day on weekdays. And then the community conversations, which is where you go and you practice that right away, right after class. There's daily cultural activities and excursions. You also get that balance of free time to explore. I see.
Can you actually, sorry, Malia, it's Pierre. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I was having a side conversation with Sanya on free time, and I think it would interest everyone to hear about that as well. Like, how do we brief students about like how to manage their free time? Like, how much free time is there every day? And, you know, talking about the fact that they stay in group, they have phones. Like, how do we manage that?
Yes.
Make sure that they're safe outside of, you know, group time.
Yes, that's a great question. By the way, if my internet breaks up, just let me know and I'll turn off my video. No, that's a great question, Pierre. I think, especially in regards to technology, you know, students are, of course, they have their technology and they need that to communicate with family back home or to do research. But for the most part, we actually do a pledge amongst ourselves in Morocco. We take kind of like a technology-free pledge. So that basically means like during all of our cultural activities and our excursions, and when we're having conversations, because after every activity, we have reflections and debriefings. Students are very respectful, and they kind of like help each other out with these reminders. So it's not like we're coming down from a top-down approach. I think the students have come to understand the importance of, you know, putting just that separation from technology. And while that's unimaginable before they come to Morocco, once they're here and they're immersed in this, they really come to understand the importance of that on their own. So surprisingly, we found that, you know, we don't need those constant reminders for students in terms of technology. In terms of free time, as I mentioned, you know, we do want to empower students to feel that they can kind of venture out on their own. So we, as you know, with all of the CIE programs, we found that there's been a huge growth in intercultural communication and leadership, and students feeling you know, confident in doing this. So that's the case of Morocco as well. What we've been doing is actually giving them like a list of recommended things they can do during their free time, things that we don't necessarily have a chance to go to. So like the museum or a cafe that we know that's, you know, safe and good for students. And we keep the study center open, to be honest, until like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. until curfew. So that way students can kind of also feel that they can hang out with with language and culture peers at the center. And if they need just their alone time, they can go to one of the rooms and journal. So I think it's always a challenge for students because they feel like they don't want to miss one moment. They want to take advantage of every single second. But I think through our reflections, they see the importance of having some downtime to reflect on everything. So, Pierre, I think the one thing that is unique to our program, not just Morocco, but I know all of my colleagues do this, it are those daily reflections. And a lot of these things come up in those reflections. The students may say, I feel like I've been hanging out a lot with students, with my friends. It's just too much. I need some downtime. So we help each other come up with a plan for that. We don't wait until something builds up. But yeah, I think in the case of Morocco, we do have a hard time especially because we're such a collectivist culture, and the families care about the students so much, the staff become like family, the language and culture peers become like family. We have to really make a point to separate and make sure to carve out free time. So all right, yeah, because there's absolutely no separation of that in Moroccan culture, no sense of privacy. All right, I hope that answers the question. Sorry. So I did want to talk about, these are our students from the summer, by the way. So most of these photos I tried to reflect summer. So this is actually free time. So what the host families did, they just decided, because actually we place for high school, all of our host families are in the same sector of Rabat, same neighborhood, all walking distance. So basically we have our high school students taking over the old city. So this is just the first weekend, the host moms decided, we want to dress up our daughters in clothing and share with them the significance of this clothes. And they went to the beach side, and took photos of that. So in any case, so why will you love language learning in Arabic? Well, you guys, as time goes, you'll learn more about the curriculum that we use with CAE, but they're all a small group of students, and you're placed by level. We have one-on-one meetings for students that have studied Arabic before. We meet with you prior to coming to make sure that we have a sense of your level so we can place you appropriately. We have, of course, local instructors that are certified to teach Arabic to non-native speakers. Our lesson plans are all coordinated with the cultural activities. This curriculum is given to homestay families. The curriculum is given to language and culture peers. So everybody is a part of this curriculum, and they're helping you in building your language skills and reinforcing it throughout your time here. So that's really the beauty of it. It's like, it's not just your instructors, and when you leave that classroom, you're done. No, it's basically a live classroom all the time. We also have that language pledge, of course, and that's a commitment, just like we do the technology free pledge, not during activities and so on, just like we do a pledge with each other to respect each other and create safe and brave spaces for each other. So yeah, so I think the beauty of studying Arabic here is it's organic language. You can actually use it in these relationships that you've cultivated. In terms of housing, as I mentioned, you're placed with homestay families. These are all photos of homestays. So Moroccan families do tend to be large. However, CAE gives you guys like a language survey, and you can really put in details, as much details as you want, and we study it very carefully. So, for example, if you would like a homestay with many cousins and extended family, or if you prefer like a smaller, close-knit family, for example. But in each of these situations, all of our students have their own bedroom, which of course comes like with the desk, the bed, a closed room, and each of the families has been vaccinated, for example. All of the families would have gone through multiple workshops with CAE to learn about our objectives and to learn about the curriculum and to learn more about American culture. So they're really well versed in you know, any kind of, for example, food allergies or food restrictions. I really, you know, like I said, it's one of the highlights for our students is getting to know the host mom, the host dad, the host siblings, and so on. So it really is a beautiful experience. I'm sure you guys have questions, so I'll leave that. And all of them, again, they do have Wi-Fi internet as well. Our daily excursions, I didn't really know where to start with this because we have a lot of activities every day. Cooking class, visits to museum. You work with local artisans, like you use your hands to work with them to learn about the pottery, leather making, mosaics. So as you're working with these artisans and using your Arabic to know them, you're also, you know, whatever you're making, you're taking home with you as well. We have, like, for example, this top photo is of the Roman ruins. So definitely we take you to see the ruins in Rabat, the Andalusian gardens. We have like oral storytelling. We have musicians that come in, live performances. The bottom photo is actually from an excursion this summer with the high school students where we went to the north where there's a waterfall. To a place called Chefchaouen. It's a blue city. We also take students to Marrakesh and the villages outside of Marrakesh. So we were one of the only programs this summer, to be honest, that had overnight trips. And that's because we were able to really stick to strict health, safety, and security measurements and requirements while we've been on these trips. Oh, sorry, more photos. The top right here. Well, you know, this photo, they were actually invited to my house. So one of our neighbors had a baby. So of course, everyone's celebrating. And basically Moroccans need any cause for celebration. The bottom here is, we explored the tidal basins in Rabat. So we went to the boardwalk and we learned about the geology there from locals. And we did also like a environmental awareness campaign. So yeah, those are just some of the.
Nadia, question from Sanya. When we have overnight excursions, where do students sleep usually? Hotels, I imagine? Or?
Yes, they're in hotels. So the students this year will all be vaccinated. So they'll be in a double in a hotel. It's always a 4-star hotel. Air conditioned and, you know, safe. In the case, one of the excursions actually on one of the nights is in a riad in Chefchaouen because the place they don't have like hotels there, so they use riads instead, which is a guest house where there's like a courtyard in the middle. And actually, my background is of the Casablanca Mosque. Oh, that's another place we take students. But if you see the geometric patterns in the back, that's what the riads have in the courtyard, and there's a water fountain in the middle. So when we go to Chefchaouen, we stay in the riads. Like I said, always like doubles. Yeah. All right. And so the final reminder, these are actually the students we're trying to teach the Homestay family, some American dances. Tons of fun. All right, so the final reminder, just, you know, if you can finish your application deadline by December 1st, let me know if I'm getting this wrong, Pierre, but for a free, for a chance to win a free flight, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
And then if you know an alumni in your school and that you haven't started an application yet, like alumni can give you a referral link that's special to them, and that will give you a $200 discount on your program.
Yeah.
If everyone could, if you could stop sharing your screen, and if everyone could
that would be great,
turn on cameras, it'd be great to chat if people have questions.
Please. And we're very lucky to have Pierre here with us, actually. I'm glad I made that mistake because now you're stuck with us, Pierre.
I was like, I don't want to leave because I didn't want to like.
Nope, you're stuck with
meeting.
us. Yeah. So Gori and Danielle, Alexandra, Henry, and Sanya. Wonderful. Yeah. So I know in the beginning, some of you mentioned you wanted the recording, so we'll definitely be able to send that out.
Yep.
Oh,
it's your opportunity to ask a question directly to Mediha. Thank you for dialing in late. Can I have a show of hands for anyone who already started an application, or are you just beginning the process of applying?
I submitted my application, I think maybe a week ago.
A week ago. Okay, wow, awesome, congrats.
Exciting.
Yeah, what grade are you?
I'm a sophomore right now.
Sophomore. Wow, awesome. Very cool. Did you know someone at your school who did this program, or?
I didn't know anyone. I just was really intent on studying abroad, did a lot of research over the summer, so I was able to kind of get a head start on the application
Wow.
process.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Good for you.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if we mentioned that also in the presentation. Sorry, I was answering questions at some point, is that we group students by language level. So usually you end up in a class of about, I would say, a dozen students per
Yeah.
class, like, you know, with like students who have comparable level.
Yeah.
So it's
That's right. And if somebody has a background in Arabic, sometimes the classes are as small as 5 students. So, yeah.
it's a good one. It's one of the, so I work in the headquarters in Portland, but every summer I try to visit one location, and one summer I had the chance to go to Rabat to see the program, and it was wonderful. And actually on my first day, you know, it's kind of an overwhelming experience because it's very different from America. So the first day, I think it was on week 2 of the program, I was staying in the old city, in the old town, and on my way to the study center, I just ran into the students who are just leaving their host family's house and commuting to class. And I was just kind of really amazed at how comfortable they were navigating the place. It was really remarkable. Like, I didn't feel as comfortable as they were like on day 1. So I'm sure it took them a couple of days to get there, but it was really cool to see.
Yeah.
So I think Morocco can be, like, from the Western perspective, maybe intimidating, but it's really wonderful place, and it's a great mix of modern and tradition. I would say, like, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, really good points, Pierre. Absolutely. I've lived here for so long, so sometimes I forget that, you know. I'm like, it's not intimidating, but it's true. And so that's why when the students have our program, they're like, we're going to go back tell our parents and students and friends. Yeah. So like you said, they become so comfortable once they're here. And yeah. All right.
And I will say, if nobody has any question, I can fill, but in terms of health and safety, like, it's really top of mind every year, but in the past 2 years, it's obviously been of paramount importance with COVID. But now that we have the vaccine requirement, I think it will be a little bit easier to navigate all the activities, because we won't have to worry so much about, like, social distancing as much as last summer.
Yeah.
But like Madi has said, that we did run the program last summer, and it was, you know, very successful, even in a context where not all students were vaccinated. So we didn't really have any issues. So I think it's worth mentioning, because it was, you know, it was the kind of the unknown. Like, there's the stuff you put into place to, like, mitigate risks, but then, you know, at the end of the day, like, you have to go for it. And it worked really, really great. And the students were very compliant also, in our experience, very respectful of the rules around health and safety, and very respectful of each other's space. So it was great. I mean, yeah, it was wonderful. I think all these students, after such a long time quarantining, like, were so happy to be out and doing some traveling again, you know. So that's great. I hope you guys get a chance to go next summer. Do you guys have any questions for Madiha on the program, the place, her backstory, whatever can help you understand better what the programs are about?
Yeah. Do you have any other questions? Logistical or cultural?
Do you know what's the highlight, Madiha, on the trip? Like, when usually, whoops, did we lose Madiha? I think she lost her internet. She may dial back in. I'm happy to take any logistical questions if you guys have any. Oh, you're back.
Yes, I'm so sorry, everyone. I
No
lost
problem.
internet. I guess that was bound to happen at some point. About Apologies.
I was just asking you, what's the highlight usually like on the program? Like if there is like 2-3 things students really remember besides their friend, their new friends, and all the fun. But like in terms of excursions or activity, what's usually
Yes.
the biggest hits?
Well, first of all, they're homestay families. Second of all, the excursions. The students fall in love with Morocco and the places we see, because it's hard to come here and just stay in the city because of how diverse and the country is. So once they go outside of Rabat and they see these small villages and how other people live, that's so different from what they would be exposed to in the States. So, we go to some villages where you basically like have to ride a donkey or walk to actually enter the village. And so they're able to have conversations because, usually we do this in 2.5 weeks and then we help translate and fill in the gaps. They're able to have conversations with these locals and they just take in the beauty of the atlas. So definitely the students love the excursions, and I would say the cultural activities because they're so diversified. So we have things from like, water sports like surfing and kayaking to like artisan workshops to things like having guest speakers. And also like sometimes students have, they might be interested in learning about like language diversity or the LGBTQ activism in Morocco. So if students voice these things, we also like fit it into the schedule. So I think I think honestly one of the highlight is just the cultural activities, the excursions, and the relationships that they develop with locals. So I don't know why I shouldn't be proud to say this, but we usually make students cry before they leave. They never want to leave. All right, let's see.
I just put a reminder for the early bird deadline. So
Absolutely.
Alexandra, you're in. That's great.
I was just going to ask Alexandra. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for everyone also, if you're in the process of applying and that you have like technical questions on scholarship questions or the application questions, our team is going to host an application workshop on Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So that's a great time to dial in to ask a question. You can have quick answers. We can help you through the steps of an application step that if you're stuck or if you are not sure how to go about an application task. You can always contact our team, but on Thursday night it's really open bar. You can just dial in, ask a question, and go. So that's an easy way to get that done. Wonderful. I will put the link to the fair again, where you can register for that session on the.
Thanks, Pierre, because I think there'll be some people that watch the recording later, right? So that's All right, good. Danielle or Henry, do you guys have any questions? Or Gori, Sanya?
Sanya had a lot of questions, but I answered in writing.
You spoke earlier? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
She was asking, I can say for the benefit of the other people, she was asking about the fabric of the cohort, like usually like how old the students are. I feel like it's a majority of our students are usually juniors, all high school students, and there's no mixing with college students. Like
no, there's no mixing. Yeah. We sometimes will have college students on site, but it's a completely separate program. Yeah, actually, many times the high school students become college students, and then in some cases we had somebody return as a program leader, like a high school student who did our program has become a program leader. So we don't let you guys leave. We always want you to come back to Morocco, stay connected.
Full circle. That's great.
Yep. Good questions, and it's a very diverse group of students too, which is amazing to see in the summer.
Yep. And it's actually one of the benefits because of the scholarship program really opens access to a wide variety of students from very different backgrounds and states. Usually students comment that the cohort, because it's really a group experience, is as exciting as meeting local Moroccan folks. Just because of the variety of students you're going to be meeting on programs. It's a big strength of that program thanks to that big scholarship
Yeah.
program that
I've
we
never seen
administrate.
anything like it. Yeah, I mean, I've been working with CIE for 10 years. I've never seen, it's the high school programs that are the ones that are very diverse. So it's incredible.
And I'll say a few things about the program leaders, because I don't know if we covered that in your presentation. So typically on the language programs, our program leaders are high school teachers.
Yeah.
And we have a ratio of about 1 program leader for 10 students. Just to give you a sense of how much the students are chaperoned through the experience. So they have classes in the morning, and then the program leader is really the link between what they learn in the classroom and the activities that they do throughout the day. So it's great to work with high school teachers because they understand the high school curriculum, what's expected of students. They understand, you know, the American student mindset, and they can be a great cultural bridge between some of the local guides we may use for an excursion and our students. So just so you know, that's kind of the setup.
Yeah, exactly. And in addition to the program leaders, of course, there's their 10-to-1 ratio, but we also have like a program coordinator overlooking, and then the center director involved, and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to mention too is that you'll have the option of choosing a chaperone flight. So we always, you know, you're going to be booking your flights on your own, so you can choose to book whatever flight you want as long as you arrive in a certain window. But we will also give you the information for a group flight that you can book, where you will have a chaperone. So usually the group flights leave from major US cities like New York, San Francisco, Chicago. We try to have like major hubs. So if you don't live in a big city, you'll be traveling alone to that American hub airport. And then you will meet the group for the international leg of the flight to go to Morocco.
Right.
Because usually the flight to Morocco from the US have a stop in Europe.
Yeah.
It's rare that it's
usually
direct.
through Paris.
Yeah.
But there are direct flights, so I'm not sure which one will be the group. There's, you know,
Right.
from New York to Casablanca, it's 7-hour direct flight. So sometimes they come direct as well. Yeah. All right, wonderful. Well, I'm sure.
Don't have any more questions, we can wrap up, but feel free to.
Yeah, if anything comes up, did I give them my email? Or if questions come up, as Pierre said, as you're doing the application process. So let's see what. Oh, you put a couple links there. Okay, thanks, Pierre. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So, and of course, as you guys complete your applications and confirm, there's a series, you know, we'll be speaking, there's pre-departure orientation online. You'll be doing a Canvas course. There might be potential this year to have some workshops online before you even arrive. So what's your email in case I have questions? All right, I'll send it to you, Sonia.